Hey guys, figure we're going to do one more video about Power BI. This one on a couple tips and tricks, at least some things that I find value with. 5 cool things to do with Power BI to really make things pop. Alright, number 1, image URLs. I actually saw this on the NASA dashboard that I just did. When I do a little hover over on one of these fields, we actually get a nice little image of this. This is the command and service module, but we've got an image that's actually coming off of the internet, and we're doing that using what's called an image URL. So in your data, you need to make sure that's in your data, and this is just going to be a URL field that you're going to stick in there. And here, I've got it. It's called URL, and all you got to do is when you import it, you just got to tag it as a data category of image URL, and then when you do pull that into some visual, it will display the image. Really nice tip. I think it really makes things pop a little bit, and as are all these. So yeah. Number 2, what we got? Oh yeah, background images. Same dashboard. I've actually already got it all set up here. We got some things in the background that sort of frame all my visuals. I've sort of got this gray bar here and a little darker gray bar here, some things on the bottom, just try to frame everything up. If I turn it off, it doesn't look so good. So yeah, nice little tip, background images. I've actually, ironically, my daughter actually did this one for me because she's a little bit better at paint than I am. And if I were to open it up, you just get some PNG file that looks like this, but again, they're really easy to do in Paint because you just do bars and rectangles, and then put a color on them, and then you can overlap them with layers, put some on top, and save it as a PNG. Go into Power BI into your page background, and it'll be blank, and you just insert it there. Easy as. All right, number 3, measures. On this one, I'm actually going to go to my Go to Progress Schedule dashboard. That one's got a little bit more complexity in it. All right, so here we've got a bunch of curves that are going from 0 to 100% complete, and depending upon the filter that you select, they're all going to recalculate. So these are values, and the percent doesn't exist natively in my data file, so I need some dynamic calculation to do that, and we do it in measures. This specific calculation, I'm not going to pull up because each one of these bar or lines actually requires its own measure. This one is just a percent actual forecast. So what are we doing? We're building a measure. Got 2 values. I got a variable A, variable B. A is total to date. I'm just putting a little filter on here to do less than whatever date it is, and then divided by the total, where I don't particularly have that filter in there for the week. So nice little tip to have calculated measures to give you percent completes, and then when you do that, you can pull it into a particular visual. Easy enough. Number 4, a web URL. Now, in this same dashboard, this is a feature that I absolutely love. So number 4, web URL links. Again, very similar to the image URL, but now you're just putting a link URL, so you can actually click one of these guys and it'll take you directly to a website. And to do that, very similar to the web URL, you're actually going to have a field with that value in it, and this is called just Jira link. Here we go. And the data category, instead of being an image URL, you just call it a web URL, pull it into your table, and when you do pull it into your table, if you don't want to see the full URL path, you can go into Format, Values, and there's a little toggle right down here, URL icon, and we want that on, and it gives you the nice little link. And again, just to show how this works, you click it, and it will actually open up a web page for whatever that link is. In this case, this is going to a Jira ticket, and I think that's a really nice way to put some interactivity into your dashboards. Last, but certainly not least, but this is just a feature that I think is really cool. It's not specific to Power BI, it's more of in this Power Query world of Microsoft, and that's Unpivot. So it actually generates some time phase data. Typically in the Excel files that I deal with, we've got a bunch of columns where you put the dates off going to the right, and then your value or your group and categories are just rows. So you got maybe a contract and cost per month, and that's the way you'd set it up in an Excel file. But when you put it into a database, you need to be a little bit more subtle. And in that, actually, I'm going to go back to the NASA one. This is a little bit more simple. I'm actually going to go into Edit. And so I pull the data in initially. These are all my categories of the specific WBSs for the Apollo program. And then my columns were how much they actually spent per year. But to actually generate nice graphs with that information, we need all these dates that are sitting up in headers. We actually need those dates to be in a particular field. And to do that, you do Unpivot. And after you do Unpivot, now you've got all the dates sitting in a column. Now I can actually pull in that value, pull in that column into my graph for my x-axis, and now I've got a date in my x-axis. So there you go, 5 quick tips. I'll just run through them again. Image URLs, background images, measures for percent completes. That's not a percent complete, but it is. And then the web URLs and Unpivot. And so hopefully if you get any value out of these tips, definitely let me know. And if you've got any others, please let me know as well, because I really like doing these, and I still want to build out my NASA space program for years after Apollo to see what all the shuttle and current space exploration costs are. Haven't done that yet, but still in the background. Hopefully I'll finish sometime soon. But for now, 5 quick tips. Thanks a lot, guys. See ya.